what do you want to talk about? Well, today we're going to be talking about racism. No, I'm just playing with y'all, man. We're going to be talking about Triple H and his booking, and the simple fact that he said at the end of the Bad Blood press conference, he's like, I don't see color, I don't know any of that stuff. After someone asked him, why are black talent not featured on PLEs really at all or in main event spots, he's like, I can't see color, I don't see color, I don't know what you're talking about. But the problem is, guys, is that not only can Triple H not see color, he can't see talent. He has no idea who he's booking in these main event positions, and he has no idea why he's booking certain talents in the undercard positions. Now, obviously, I can't judge that, Triple H is racist, or all that stuff. Obviously, some of the tendencies and the way he's booking things, and, some of the actual segments he did when he was in WWE kind of led you to believe that there is some racial bias in Triple H. And you know what? There might be, but I don't know Triple H personally. I can't judge him on his merits and say, oh, this guy's racist. I don't know Triple H, right? But what I can judge is the facts that are apparent. And the facts is that I cannot remember the last time that a black male athlete, for example, has been featured on a PLE. I can't tell you the last time. I mean, you had what? Carmelo Hayes was one of the 6 participants in the Money in the Bank match. So does that really count? Not really. And before that, when was the last time a black talent was on a PLE? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense. Bianca and Jade fill in and do like a 1 or 2 tag matches on throwaway PLEs this year, like Bash in Berlin or Clash at the Castle, but they're not doing anything. You get what I mean? And I also have to judge on the facts that Triple H has no idea how to book talent, and he has no idea how to see talent. So I don't think it's necessarily a racism issue. I just think it's a problem of the fact that Triple H can't really understand and see talent, and so that trickles down to the black talent and the other ethnic talent they have on the roster. And the biggest reason for why I think Triple H can't see talent in today's current WWE landscape is the simple fact that he books and presents people, what quote-unquote main event talent to us as if they're better than the talent that's presented to us as undercard or mid-card jobbers, right? So like, for example, Cody Rhodes and Gunther are your world champs in the WWE. Cody Rhodes is having one of the worst WWE championship reigns of all time. By the statistics of money, obviously the financial revenue, right? The viewership, the draw, the intrigue and the storylines, the epic matches, the epic feuds. He hasn't had any of that. Any of it. The title reign has been atrocious, and it's filled with boring promos and meaningless stories. Gunther, so far, his reign's like 2.5 months, but do we really think that this reign is going to end up being amazing or great? No. It's been boring so far. It's been bland. He hasn't delivered anything special on the mic. He's wrestled 2 championship defenses since winning the belt, so why should we care about this championship reign, right? Liv Morgan is another one. Her championship reign is garbage as well, and Nia Jax is being booked into oblivion. She's not really winning any matches on SmackDown. She's getting pinned by undercard jobbers like Naomi, and she needs help from Tiffany to beat Michin. You get what I'm saying? So we get these talents presented to us as main eventers, quote unquote, and your top champions. But your mid-carders or your undercard jobbers like LA Knight, Braun Breaker, Jey Uso right now, Io Sky, who does nothing but wrestle undercard jobber matches with the Pure Fusion Collective now, and she gets 1 tag team championship match every 3 months or something like that. She's probably the best in-ring wrestler in the women's division in WWE right now, or at least one of them at the very minimum, right? And the fact that she gets relegated to fighting Sonya Deville on Raw is absurd. It's insane. But there's no other insane example more crazy than this one. The Street Profits. How in the world are the Street Profits being presented to us as jobbers who can't beat Pretty Deadly or DIY? Montes Ford is better than Cody Rhodes at nearly every aspect there is to be a great professional wrestler. He is a generational talent. He was in an Elimination Chamber match with Seth Rollins in it and other people like Damian Priest, Bronson Reed, etc. Good in-ring workers. And Montes Ford was by far the standout in that match. And everyone after that match expected him to actually get a push. He's charismatic. He cuts good promos. He's amazing in the ring. He sells great. He brings a lot of energy. And on top of that, he's younger than Cody Rhodes by a considerable amount, and I'm pretty sure he's younger than Gunther too. So he's got more years left than they do. He's got more talent than they do, yet he's presented as a jobber, and Cody Rhodes is presented as some main event, North Star of the wrestling industry, all this nonsense, right? And Gunther is the quote-unquote ring general, even though Montes Ford is better than him at everything. At everything. And it sounds crazy, but it's not. And because most wrestling fans are just meat riders who just go with the public opinion and probably think that Cody Rhodes is better than Montes Ford or Carmelo Hayes or, mid-carders like Braun Breaker or LA Knight, let me just explain this to you in this terms. Look at Montes Ford's age. He's like in his mid-30s, like 34, something like that, right? And look at Cody Rhodes, who's dang near 40. I want you to look at Cody Rhodes 5 to 6 years ago and compare him to Montes Ford right now. Who do you think is more talented and who would have a better trajectory on their career? It's that simple. Carmelo Hayes is in his late 20s. Look at Cody Rhodes about a decade ago and look at Carmelo Hayes right now, and who do you think is more talented and who's better? LA Knight right now, compare him to Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes takes 8 minutes to talk about libations and Wheatley and Nick Bockwinkel like a moron, right? LA Knight, in the 8 minutes that it took Cody to cut that boring and garbage promo as champion, LA Knight can come on the screen and in less than 1 minute, he can cut an engaging, intense, and entertaining promo. He can do what Cody Rhodes can do with 1/8 of the time. It's very simple. Braun Breaker, again, he's in his mid to late 20s. Look at him in his mid to late 20s and look at Cody Rhodes 10 to 15 years ago and you tell me who's better and who has a better career trajectory. And this is the problem with the booking today. Cody Rhodes, who used to be Stardust, is now presented as a main eventer who has the WWE Championship. If someone who was Stardust can now be WWE Champion, which at heart he is a full-on jobber, and we're seeing it now with his championship reign, if that guy can be WWE Champion, how in the world can WWE sit there and lie to us and present him as someone who is of that caliber and who is of that main event caliber, and then present the fact to us that guys like Montes Ford or Carmelo Hayes or LA Knight or Braun Breaker or even Io Sky for the women's division's sake, right? Those people are mid-carders or undercarders or jobbers. It's ridiculous. Jey Uso, who's in the mid-card and just finally won a singles belt after a year and a half of being super over, Jey Uso is more over and more important to WWE's success than Gunther right now. And it's not close. If Gunther were to leave the company tomorrow and they subbed in Drew for World Heavyweight Champion or CM Punk or Rollins, it would be the same viewership, if not better. Gunther can leave tomorrow and they wouldn't lose a dime. Jey Uso, if he took over as World Heavyweight Champion, you would get more viewership and more notoriety and more intrigue to Monday Night Raw than if Gunther was champ. It's the same thing with LA Knight. LA Knight is also better than Gunther and Cody Rhodes. But for some reason, it's presented to us like Cody and Gunther and like Liv Morgan, for example, is presented in a higher position on the card than like a Bianca Belair or a Io Sky, etc. And even Rhea Ripley. And all of those people I just named are way better than Liv Morgan at everything it takes to be a professional wrestler. You get what I'm saying? That's the problem with this whole entire situation. And it's not just a black talent thing, like I said. It's just talent in general that's way better than what's in the main event in the main event scene, right? And there's multiple different other cases of this, and I'm about to talk about in a second. For example, Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes cuts good promos. He has charisma. His character is cool. He's great in the ring. He sells the BFT to perfection. But somehow, some way, we're supposed to believe that Carmelo Hayes should be in a way, way, way lower position on the card than like Cody Rhodes. Right? It makes no sense. Braun Breaker is another example. Braun Breaker is phenomenal in the ring. He's good on the mic, and he's in his 20s. But somehow he's lower on the card. He doesn't have a championship right now. And so we're supposed to believe that he's below Gunther. Like, no, he's not. It's nonsense. Triple H has an issue struggling to find different talents and figure out why he's pushing these talents. Why is Cody Rhodes in the main event? Ask yourself that question. Why is he in the main event? He's not better than Braun Breaker. He's not better than LA Knight. He's not better than Montes Ford. He's really not when you think about it, right? He's not even better than Jey Uso. But somehow Cody is the WWE champion. You get what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. It makes absolutely no sense. It's very, very simple. Like I said, do I think it's an issue of racism? Not necessarily. I think there could be an element of racial bias in the booking. Absolutely there could be an element. But I think the bigger issue is that Triple H just doesn't see talent in the same way that Vince McMahon did, for example. And yes, I'm bringing up Vince McMahon because you can say whatever you want, but certain aspects of his booking make more sense and were better executed than Triple H's booking. For example, since Triple H took over about a year or a year and a half ago, he hasn't developed any new talent or stars. Anyone who's new and that's really young and that's a star is like Braun Breaker and like maybe Carmelo Hayes, and that's pretty much it. That's it. Tiffany Stratton, Carmelo, and Braun Breaker were all developed on NXT. Just remember that. Shawn Michaels is the one who showcased that these people were really capable of being talented. Thus, when they came to the main roster, we got to see the talent for ourselves. They were already like that, right? Triple H hasn't done anything to elevate any of these people's careers so far, except for Braun winning the IC title and then losing it. Vince McMahon elevated and created stars like John Cena, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Batista, Undertaker, except the list goes on and on. We know that The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, the one booking this stuff, he was developed by Vince McMahon. You get what I'm saying? All of these talents, these superstars, these megastars, Edge even, right? Chris Jericho, Rey Mysterio as well. You get the point. All of these people were developed and found that they were stars and found that they could be potential megastars by Vince McMahon. He had an eye for superstar talent that Triple H just doesn't have. That's why you had PLEs back then. There were more black wrestlers featured. Bobby Lashley, for example, is fired from the WWE, but Karrion Kross still has a job. It's unacceptable, right? Bobby Lashley's winning WWE championships just a few years ago under Vince McMahon's booking, but now he's out of the company while Karrion Kross has a job? While Cody Rhodes is WWE champion? You get what I mean? It makes no sense. Mark Henry was a world champion under Vince McMahon's booking, right? You even have Bianca Belair was a long reigning women's champion under Vince McMahon's watch. And it's just simple things like this that make you think about the racial element to it. But you also have to think about this. Vince simply knows talent and knows superstars and knows how to see superstar talent better than Triple H does. And until that changes and Triple H figures out how to actually seek out talent, you're not going to get many black superstars that actually have amazing talents on PLEs. You're not going to get Asian talents like Io Sky on PLEs. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to get any of this stuff. You're not even going to get Latino talent, I'm sure, right? Because what Latino wrestler has been on a PLE this year outside of Damian Priest? You know what I mean? Who's been there? Andrade in the Money in the Bank? Great. He's in a 6-man match. They have to throw him in there. What other mid-card are you going to put in there, huh? Kevin Owens, he was in a match with Cody and Orton at that PLE, so he couldn't do anything, right? You have no one else to throw in there. AJ Styles was on his break of leave of absence after he lost to Cody Rhodes in a trash I Quit match, so you had to throw Andrade in there, right? You had no other option, I mean, you could have thrown Montes Ford in there, but obviously you're an idiot, right? Triple H is a moron, so he's not going to put Montes Ford in that match. He doesn't know what he's doing, so that's that, right? All of these different wrestlers, Damian Priest even, by the way, a quick side note, him getting included in this matches, the only reason he's a Latino talent in these matches is because he's in the Judgment Day, right? We all know this. That's why there's no other Latino talent on these PLEs. No black talent, no Asian talent, etc., etc., etc. And Triple H not being able to book talent is already a problem in and of itself. But then you have the other problem that I mentioned earlier in the video. Why is there no black talent featured on any of these PLEs? There's not even any Asian talent. There's barely any Latino talent. Damian Priest shows up on some of these PLEs, but that's it. The only reason he's in those PLEs is because he's a part of the Judgment Day storyline. Outside of that, there's no one else on these PLEs that's ethnic at all. Bianca and Jade get thrown out for a jobber tag team match versus Unholy Union twice this year for nothing. For nothing. And you even have things that Triple H does as a buffer, right? So he'll have Naomi and Bianca and Jade Cargill be the quote-unquote hosts of Bad Blood, and they'll open up the show for 3 or 4 minutes just to say he had black talent on the PLE. You know what I mean? And then he'll bring up Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson from NXT just to say, oh, we have a couple extra black talents on the roster now. But he will never book them into prominence. It's very awkward and it's very weird. Like I said, I'm not saying Triple H is racist, but we have to judge the facts on what the facts appear to be. And the facts appear to be that the black talent gets no feature on any of these PLEs, despite the fact that some of these dudes like Carmelo Hayes and, Montes Ford, etc., or Io Sky as well, she has all these talents, all these people have all these talents, and they're not even featured in main event positions on the card. It's stupid. And part of it as well is the simple fact that Triple H in this long-form booking, this long-form storytelling, the long gamer, why don't you end the game and sit down? That's what you need to do, right? All this long-term storytelling makes it so that the main event scene is hogged up by these are the real jobbers are in the main event scene, right? These jobbers like Cody Rhodes, Liv Morgan, the Liv and Rhea storyline is washed. It's washed. Like I've said before, this is literally the Klay Thompson storyline. This is the Chris Paul on the Warriors storyline. It's washed, it's old, it's dried up, dude. These stories are washed out, they're rinsed out, man. But yet we keep on getting them because the long-form storytelling calls for these stories to be dragged out for months and months. So your main event scene, instead of having someone super talented like Io Sky in the mix, or even Bianca Belair, or Jade Cargill, or any of these other people, Naomi, who honestly is better than Liv Morgan at pretty much everything as well. I forgot to mention her. All of these people get relegated to mid-card or undercard jobber related activities. Yet these people like Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley hog the spotlight in the women's division. It's the same thing with Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is not more talented than LA Knight, Braun Breaker, or Montes Ford, or any of these people. He's not even more talented than Carmelo Hayes. But at the end of the day, the simple idea that I'm basically trying to get across is this: Triple H, he can't see color. At least he says that, right? I can't see color. I don't know what you're talking about. Triple H can also not see talent. And that is the reason why we have barely any representation for black people. I don't like using the word representation, right? Because like Marvel uses it in DC, and all these big entertainment and movie and TV shows use it as an excuse to like shove multiple characters into different storylines and stuff. Kind of like how WWE shoves the same storyline in our face, and it sucks with Rhea and Liv, but you get the point. All of these different characters or these wrestlers are not, shown on these shows because Triple H, number one, the 5-match format on these PLEs is stupid. You can't fit talent on the PLEs when you're not conditioned to do so. If you only have 5 matches, you're not going to be able to showcase all your talent. But another problem with this is the simple fact that all these stories are the long form, the long game stories, so you're going to have to wait 3 or 4 months in a certain main event scene before you see someone else introduced into the main event scene. And obviously the other issue is that Triple H, at the end of the day, has no idea who the true talents are versus the ones that he is presenting as the true main event talents. And could the argument be made that there is racial bias involved? Of course that argument could be made. But I think the larger issue at hand is multiple different things. The way Triple H books things, the fact that he has no idea how to find superstar talent like Vince did, for example, and the simple fact that Triple H not only can't see color, but he cannot see talent. And the way that he books these talents and the way he books his PLEs is not conducive to seeing, the different diversities in WWE and the different diversities of talent and, ability that these different wrestlers have, right? And that's what it all boils down to. Like I said, I'm not going to straight up call Triple H racist, but I am going to sit here and call him a moron and say that he is an awful booker. Now, obviously, you can do with this information what you will. If you think it's wrong, say what you want. If you think he's racist, you can think that. If you think he's not, whatever. All I'm doing is telling you how I see it from my perspective. So as usual, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope that you guys have a phenomenal day. Peace out.